is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hi there to all of you viewers of Equinoxe Television. It's 6 p.m. in Kumba in the Southwest region. It's time for the news here in Douala. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our metastar is this evening in Sikoum, not far away from Idea in the Senegal Maritime Division of the littoral. We bring to you shocking images of the discovery of human skeletons, dead bodies and other kidnapped victims. The macabre discovery was made by villagers who went in search for one of theirs who went missing some time ago at the site in Sikoum. One of the kidnapped victims, who was also an escapee, told our reporters the ordeal he went through in the hands of the kidnappers. We will be telling you more in this news edition, so stay put. Our reporters were at the site of the discovery and details of that criminal act coming up right ahead. Plus, the Bishop of Yagua, Monseigneur Yahuda Ugo Barthelemy, insists and persists on his words. He told Christians of his archdiocese that the Christians should always stand on their words and shun evil and the devil wherever they perceive any. Viewers, those are our lead stories. We come back with details and more in just a moment. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. We begin this news edition with this very shocking news element in Sikoum, not far away from Idea in the Senegal Maritime Division. We told you a while ago you will be having shocking images of the discovery of human skeletons, dead bodies, and other kidnapped victims. The macabre discovery was made by villagers who went in search for one of theirs who went missing. That was some weeks ago. At the site of that incident, our reporters met skeletons and also dead bodies. Let's now have the details with Cedric Chakuto, who was in Sikoum, not far away from Idea.
A skeleton, 3 bodies in a state of decomposition, and a survivor, Hassan Idrissa, were discovered in Sikoum, locality located on the National Road number 3 between the city of Douala and the city of Idea. The macabre discovery was made by the inhabitants of Sikoum, who were in search of Thomas Bihai, member of the vigilante group who disappeared on the 10th of February 2025. If our brother had not disappeared, we would never have known that there were other bodies in this farm. So when we found a young bike rider, he was the one who gave us details of the fact that he was taken on the 11th of February at 10 a.m. in Yassa by 2 individuals who offered him 10,000 francs, asking him to leave them at Sikoum where their engine got bad. The young man on his bike left from Douala, carrying on his way 2 individuals who were heading to a farm in Sikoum. Once they arrived, the 2 individuals brutally attacked the latter, taking his motorcycle, tied him up, and threw him in a farm. He carried the guy, then arrived at a level. The one who was on the motorcycle called his accomplice to let him know that they were already next door.
C'est donc là où ils transportent la deuxième personne. Dès qu'ils ont transporté la deuxième personne,
arriving on the scene, they stripped the motorcycle taxi driver, tied him up, then they put a suffocating plastic on his head to suffocate him and prevent him from speaking. After a few minutes, he fainted.
Le commandant de brigade, c'est par là-bas dont ils l'ont attaché, ils l'ont ligoté. Comme il n'a pas fait de force, ils l'ont ligoté et ils ont fermé son visage avec un plastique étouffant.
The body in an advanced decomposition was found and buried. Before his burial, the population alerted the police. Once on the site, they discovered shoes, slippers, and dresses of other victims. This situation created a feeling of fear in the minds of some bike riders in the area.
Ça fait peur. L'audience est devenue trop bizarre et tu ne dois pas prendre certains risques parce que tu as compris le prix de l'argent.
For now, a complaint against an unknown person was filed at the Lokbajek Gendarmerie Brigade. The investigation is being conducted by Captain Bakari, commander of the Edeya Gendarmerie Company.
Insecurity is on the rise, so vigilance should be the watchword. Now to this other measure, let's tarry the Bishop of Yagua, a town in the far north region, His Lordship Barthélemy Yahuda Ugo hit hard again on the government of Cameroon. He continues to call for change by exposing the sufferings of Cameroonians, especially those in the northern regions of the country. In his second outing during its Sunday Mass in his diocese, His Lordship Yahuda Ugo called on his Christians to continuously pray for a political transition in the country, and he also told them to shun the devil wherever they meet one. Details with Mala Glory.
The bishop is determined for a quick change in Cameroon. The Bishop of Yagua, His Lordship Barthélemy Yahuda, gives clarity on the history of the devil and power mentioned in his last outing. He says the devil used in this context simply referred to any stranger to take power in order to wipe the tears of suffering Cameroonians. According to him, prayers and holy water can take away such negative influence. The bishop also reinforced the distrust of the northerners towards the CPDM regime. He goes further to lament on the high employment rate in Cameroon, saying that privileged children are studying and living abroad, while that of the poor, despite holding certificates in their pockets, have been reduced to night watchmen and security guards in Douala and Yaoundé. In a subsequent statement, Bishop Yahuda highlighted how northerners are often perceived as mere electoral toll due to their large voter turnout during elections. However, he argued that growing hardship and frustration have transformed what they call electoral cattle into lions, panthers, elephants, in short, wild animals ready for electoral revenge. His remarks comes amid increasing political tensions and debates on governance, social justice, and the future of Cameroon's political landscape.
Now, the late Justice Ayah Paul has been described by his colleagues and also other well-wishers as a man who defended the truth in spite of any consequence. Those within his clan also regret his passing away because of the personal and collective impact he had on individuals and also on his community as a whole. Our reporter Rex Afon in the southwest region was in Akwaya, and he compiled their opinions in the report which comes up next.
By the sweat of his brow, Justice Ayah Paul toiled to fend for himself and the ones he loved for 74 years. He has now returned to the ground from where he was taken. He received his last honors in his native Akwaya village from his true friends, the lawyers, with whom he shared the courtrooms for over 45 years.
This is the tradition that the profession defines for us to follow. Significance is that it validates the proper exit of an advocate who has taken oath under Section 15 of Law number 90/059 of 19 December 1990.
Though now buried, he remains glued in the hearts of his children.
Words cannot express what we are going through at the moment. It's mixed emotions. We're in grief, we're mourning, and at the same time we're celebrating a wonderful man, a dad, a savior to a lot of people who are celebrating his life. That's why even with the tears, you see a lot of people smiling like the children, because we've equally accomplished one of the greatest of his demands on his dying bed: take me back home. So we had to brave the odds from Boya, the southwest region, through the insecurity, the long insecurities, through Nigeria. We go through Nigeria, back into the country, the southwest region, a 16-hour journey to get here to accomplish one of his greatest wishes.
Amongst those most hit by his departure is his widow, Ndale Valentine Ayah, who now battles to accept that her partner for over 50 years is gone eternally.
It's true we the children have lost a dad, but the case of our mom is very special. That's why you don't even see her around. You don't even see her speaking to the camera. She spent 50 years plus with someone she just suddenly lost. We keep a very special eye on her.
At the funeral of Justice Ayah Paul Abine, who served as Deputy Attorney General at the Supreme Court in Yaoundé, the conspicuous absence of the state did not go unnoticed.
And the long journey to his final place of rest took his family, colleagues and friends through a cock at the border between Cameroon and Nigeria. They then passed or had to go through the Cross River states before returning back to Akwaya in Cameroon, which is in the Manu division of the southwest region. The burial rites of Ayah Paul Abine were conducted by his colleagues' lawyers after religious and traditional rites were performed. Rex Afon once again.
In a judicial landscape filled with many ills at his time, Ayah Paul Abine came out as an example to emulate.
As a lawyer, Ayah Paul Abine stood for everybody. In fact, his chambers was known as Justice for All. He stood for the oppressed. He stood for people who were to be cheated by the more powerful. He said no. The law has no respect of persons.
Aside being an advocate, he was also a humanitarian within his community and beyond.
When you allow a sense of unity, he is able to advise, support, educate, pay school fees without limit to the branches of Akwaya, from Masi to Kajifu to Kateli to Liti to Bichibi.
Before leaving eternally, he planted virtues in the hearts of his people.
He has been a man of peace. Those who were very close to Justice Ayah Paul Abine, Barrister, he was a man of peace. He comes from one of the populous clans, Oliti, and he was the main voice when he signaled them not to, react negatively to situations. Automatically, the response is positive. So he was a man of peace, and we respect him for that.
He told us three things that we have to keep alive. So we must stand on the truth, must stand on justice, and must respect the authority that be.
In all his fights and achievements for the people of Akwaya and Cameroon, Ayah Paul Abine, in his last days, faced rejection from the state he was a servant to for close to 50 years of his life.
And now let's talk something else and move on to politics. The Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation condemns the violation of Cameroonian civil and political rights by administrative authorities. The party's planned meeting and book launch in the Adamawa region has been prohibited by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Minister Paul Tanganji. Babila Jonathan spoke with one of the party spokespersons, Barrister Tamfo Richard, and compared his views in the report which comes up next.
The Minister of Territorial Administration prohibits a political gathering of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation in the Adamawa region of Cameroon. In a letter to the Senior Division Officer of the Nigerian Division, the governor of the Adamawa region reminds his collaborator the instructions of the Territorial Administration Minister banning the planned political gathering and launching of a book by the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. CPNR President Honorable Cabral Libi. He tells the prefect of the Jerem Division to ensure that Honorable Cabral Libi and his delegation are sent out of his area of command as a matter of high urgency. The CPNR party qualifies the decision as a scandal.
It is scandalous to read such a message from the governor of the Adamawa region. What is happening before our eyes is really regrettable because it goes in gross violation of the social pact that exists between the citizens of Cameroon and the authorities that govern them. This is in violations of the fundamental right enshrined in the Constitution. It is not just about Honorable Cabral Libi. Is about the violations of the right of movement of every Cameroonian and the violations of the right of every citizen in exercising his political duties or activities.
CPNR spokesperson, human rights and peace advocate Barrister Tamfo Richard adds that such decisions and actions by the administration are unacceptable.
We are a Republican party and we have respect for the institutions of this country. We will not allow that an administrator who is supposed to act within the armpits of the law violate our fundamental rights. So we have a leader, Honorable Cabral Libi, who has always told us that he is fervently attached to the observance of the rule of law and to the institutions that govern us. So I don't think that we'll allow ourselves to be intimidated by these excesses and abuse.
He has urged the withdrawal of the decision banning the political gathering of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation.
Let's now talk health. Do you remember the young man who was barking from a hospital bed that was in the west region of the country? He was suffering from rabies, according to medics. Cases of rabies in Cameroon are alarming. The disease, which is transmitted primarily through saliva of an infected animal, according to medics, remains a public health concern in Cameroon. Our reporter Lucy Lienguisier spoke with Dr. Glory Befeke, who says the surge in cases is as a result of a significant number of stray dogs in urban and rural areas and also insufficient vaccination of pets, especially dogs. Her report.
Recently, cases of rabies have been reported in Bafoussam in the west region and Fou in the central region of Cameroon. Rabies is a fatal viral disease that affects the central nervous system and spinal cord.
In Cameroon, it remains a public health concern, especially in the rural areas. According to WHO statistics, several hundreds of cases are reported yearly or annually in Cameroon. Domestic dogs, they remain the primary source of transmission of rabies to humans, and also some traditional hunting of wild animals, the lack of vaccination or the low rates of vaccination of pets.
When one is infected with the virus, the symptoms become visible.
We find someone with watery or wet mouth all the time, and also one may find someone already barking like a dog. And once this happens, it is usually very fatal.
The rise in cases of rabies in Cameroon is as a result of
the lack or the limited resources for veterinary services. Sometimes will hinder the public health initiative to vaccinate and equally to carry out the post-exposure prophylaxis. Sometimes equally we find stray dog population increasing in urban areas.
To curb the high prevalence rate, medical professionals advise the vaccination of pets and implementation of sensitization campaigns.
The Cameroon Ministry of Public Health has put in place the regional anti-rabies centers, which comes to improve the post-exposure prophylaxis. This post-exposure prophylaxis include things like once you have a dog bite, you first of all wash the wound with soap and water, especially at home. Then immediately you bring the one to a healthcare center.
Also, medics say stray dogs should not be allowed to roam in communities.
Still in health, the president of the Cameroon Order of Medical Doctors has urged the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi, to reduce his tone during his public outings to hospitals in the country. The outing of Dr. Rodolphe Fonku came as Dr. Manauda Malachi scolded some health practitioners during an unannounced visit to a hospital. To the president of the Cameroon Medical Order, shouting at doctors in public places should not be cautioned. Smart Jikan Gabriel with details.
Et je veux des noms maintenant, ce n'est pas demain. Je veux des noms maintenant. Qui a fait et qui n'a pas signalé?
Another video that humiliates medical doctors.
C'est qui? Monsieur le chef, donnez-moi qui a fait et qui n'a pas signalé.
According to the president of the Cameroon Medical Order, the video that has become viral on social media platforms portraying the Minister of Public Health shouting at medical officers during an unannounced visit. The president says even though it is good for such visits to be done in health facilities, the fact that during such unannounced visits, TV cameras and telephones are being used to take images which are later posted on social media platforms is wrong. For Dr. Rudolph Fokwa, it is the hospital environment which is being desecrated, and this doesn't give confidence to the patients who visit such hospitals. The president of the Cameroon Medical Order is now requesting that any correction to be done on medical doctors should be according to the rules and regulations put in place by the Ministry of Public Health, while respecting doctors' dignity.
And now let's talk something else. Do you know how the video of the lady urinating into a pot of okok got into the public space? She went and gave her phone to a phone repairer and he shared the images to the public. Phone technicians have advised Cameroonians to be very conscious and avoid handing their phones to phone repairers without a code or sharing their passwords with them, which could leak their privacies or confidential files in the public space. They as well warn that certain confidential files be properly deleted or coded in secret apps or Google accounts to make sure they are not easily accessed by curious phone technicians for other ill intention or eventual publication on social media, like the case with Victorine, the okok vendor in Vogada. Innocent Aze has more.
Like Victorine in a video urinating in a meal in Yaoundé went viral on social media, published by a phone repairer. Many other persons with confidential files in their phones risk exposure or must have been victims.
J'ai des copains qui ont eu à voir cela.
Speaking to some mobile phone technicians, they explained that a client's confidential files become insecure when their phone is not coded or when the code is shared, and when files like private videos or pictures are deleted from the gallery but not deleted temporarily from the trash bin. When naive clients give their codes to a phone repairer, or when the repairer spies on it, the contents of the phone becomes vulnerable because some curious repairers will go through their gallery. When they stumble on a sensitive file, they quickly transfer it on their laptop or to their phone for blackmail in order to make money and later on publish it on social media. Technicians also reveal there exist advanced applications some curious phone repairers will use to recover recently deleted files. Once a repairer flashes the phone and reprograms it, all the files will be recovered with any special recovery app. We are told this is not possible with high-definition phones like iPhones and others. While most Android phones are vulnerable, phone experts caution clients to always quote their phones, save files in Google accounts. Do not keep certain confidential files in your phone because at any moment they can be accessed by a technician. Also quote your app containing your videos and pictures. Don't expose your phone and don't leave it with a repairer for long. Give your phone to a trusted repairer only.
Toujours mettre un mot de passe. Je dirais plus aux citoyens camerounais d'être plus éveillés sur ce plan-là.
Persons who love taking videos of themselves and pictures are also advised to evolve alongside technology by knowing different apps and modes of securing their privacies if they must keep them in their phones.
Interesting indeed. Azeh, thank you so much for that report, which brings us to the end of this edition of the news. For reasons beyond our control, we won't be having talking point tonight because of time constraints. We will sure be having the second part of the news tomorrow. Thank you, viewers, for always being there. Our programs continue. Equinoxe comes up at 7 p.m. with Saya Leng, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. with Julian Beth Bisai. That was what we gathered for you tonight. Thank you again for being with us. See you again tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.